Every year, hundreds of thousands of children go missing in the United States. Most return home within hours. But what happens when time passes and there are no answers? On July 15, 2010, in a small town in Ohio, a family's life changed forever. Emily Grant, a girl just 9 years old, went for a bike ride and never returned. What followed was one of the largest searches ever seen. Helicopters, tracking dogs, federal agents, thousands of volunteers. The entire country joined in. And still, Emily was nowhere to be found. 5 years later, deep in the woods, a disturbing discovery seemed to bring answers. But in reality, it raised even more questions. This is the story of a mystery that haunts a community to this day: the disappearance of Emily Grant. The disappearance of Emily Grant. The day Emily disappeared, every year in the United States, more than 400,000 children are reported missing. Most are found within hours or days, but some cases become eternal enigmas. Cases that divide entire communities, drain state and federal resources, and leave indelible scars on families. Among those lost names is that of Emily Grant, a 9-year-old girl who disappeared on a quiet summer afternoon in a small town in Ohio. Her case drew national attention because, from the outset, authorities launched a massive search with support from various agencies. Helicopters, canine units, federal agents, and thousands of volunteers joined the crusade. However, after weeks, months, and ultimately years of investigation, Emily never returned home. Emily's story isn't just one of disappearance. It's the story of a family torn apart, of a neighborhood that lost its innocence, and of a system that, despite all the resources deployed, failed to provide answers. Who was Emily? Emily Grant was described by her mother, Karen, as a cheerful and dreamy child. She loved to draw butterflies and had a habit of leaving her notebooks full of colorful doodles. Her father, Michael, remembered her as a fearless child who preferred to play in the yard and climb trees rather than stay home watching television. They lived in Maple Creek, a town of just 12,000 people surrounded by forests and hills, a place where doors were rarely locked, where neighbors greeted each other by name, and where everyone believed tragedies only happened in big cities. Emily had a purple bicycle, a gift for her 9th birthday. That bike would be the last thing many neighbors saw her riding before she disappeared. The day she disappeared. It was July 15th, 2010, a sunny day with temperatures around 28 degrees. School was out, and Emily had spent the morning at her friend Rachel's house. At 4:15 p.m., Emily returned home. According to her mother, she asked permission to go for a bike ride before dinner. Karen agreed, as she always did, confident that the neighborhood was safe. By 5:30 p.m., when dinner was ready, Emily hadn't returned. At first, her mother thought she had been entertaining herself at a neighbor's house. Half an hour later, she went out looking for her. She walked the streets, called Rachel, and asked other children. No one had seen Emily for almost an hour. At 7:00 p.m., the father returned from work, and together they made the call that would change their lives forever. 911, our daughter is missing. Daughter is. The first hours. Local police arrived quickly. Their first action was to canvass the neighborhood. They found Emily's purple bicycle leaning against a pole at the corner of Maple Street and Oak Avenue. There were no signs of foul play. No witnesses reported seeing anything unusual. In less than 2 hours, the search intensified. Patrol cars with sirens, loudspeakers asking for information, neighbors coming out of their homes with flashlights. Some thought Emily might have decided to hide while playing, but time passed and she didn't appear. At midnight, the Amber Alert was activated. Photos of Emily were broadcast on local newscasts and later national media. The description was clear. 9 years old, shoulder-length light brown hair. 5'3", tall, slim build. She was wearing a pink t-shirt with a unicorn print, denim shorts, and white sandals. The national mobilization. In the following days, The search for Emily became one of the largest Ohio had ever seen. State helicopters circled overhead. Scuba diving teams searched nearby ponds and streams. Trained dogs combed every inch of the forest around the town. The FBI and the National Guard offered logistical support. Dozens of volunteers arrived from nearby cities. Entire families joined with signs and water bottles, determined to explore every corner. National media began covering the case. Networks like CNN and NBC sent reporters. Emily's face appeared on newscasts, in newspapers, even on highway billboards. The media pressure was so great that the police set up a temporary command center at the town's elementary school. There, they received tips, calls, and any details that might lead to the girl's whereabouts. Suspects and lines of investigation. In any child disappearance, the first attention is directed at the family. Karen and Michael were questioned for hours. Their phones, their finances, and their routines were reviewed, nothing incriminating them. Investigators then widened the circle, neighbors with criminal records, people who had recently arrived in the community, motorists passing through the area that day. One of the initial suspects was a 42-year-old man who lived 3 blocks from Emily's home and had been accused years earlier of stalking. He was arrested and subjected to tests, but there was no direct connection to the case. After weeks of questioning, he was released. Frustration grew. There were hundreds of leads, but none solid. The passage of time. The first 3 months were the most intense. Eventually, the helicopters disappeared, the volunteers returned to their normal lives, and the news stopped covering the case daily. But the family didn't give up. The Grants placed posters with their daughter's face all over the state. Candlelight vigils, peaceful marches, and fundraisers were organized to keep the search alive. Each of Emily's birthdays was commemorated with pink balloons released into the sky. "Wherever you are, Emily, we will never stop looking for you," her mother would always say through tears. The wound in Maple Creek. Emily's disappearance transformed the community. Parents began personally escorting their children to school. Security cameras were installed on streets where no one had previously thought it necessary. The once tight-knit neighborhood began to fill with suspicion and awkward silences. Many claimed that Maple Creek had lost its innocence. The town was no longer the same. 5 years passed. 5 years of false leads, discarded suspects, and dashed hopes. In the summer of 2015, a group of hikers reported finding remnants of a child's clothing in a forest on the outskirts of the county. Police confirmed days later. It was the last piece of clothing Emily had been wearing the day she disappeared. That discovery reignited the investigation and brought national attention to the case. But it also opened new wounds. And so, as the family prepared for a new chapter in their painful search, the mystery of Emily Grant took an unexpected turn.